And we are here. Welcome to The Stir, everybody. This is episode, what did we say, Ella? Episode 4? Fourth episode? Fourth episode of The Stir. 8, Jake. It hasn't been that long yet.
That's if people can't see one hand.
Episode 4, we are still doing it, and it feels so great to be here. This is myself. Casey Helton.
Myself.
And my co-host, Jay Sarledge. And Ella.
Whatever, whoever
you know
I am
what?
today. I can be whoever you want me to be.
Jay Sarledge and Ella Nikitin. He just did it. He clapped.
It was you.
Do you need?
It was you this
You're
time.
clapping.
I did this.
He did that.
My
My
hand.
goodness! You're gonna give Ella a heart attack.
You're giving me a heart attack.
Why? What happened?
That's okay.
Because when you
annoying sound and I have to edit it out.
the clapping.
Yeah.
See, you weren't here. Okay, so Jace wasn't here last week, but he was sick, so he doesn't know. But we had this whole thing, and we did a post-show
Did you watch the
chit chat.
I watched some of it, but I didn't see no
Did
clapping.
you watch the episodes where you were in the episode?
Yeah.
I am.
didn't
How
clap.
much of it did you
I didn't
watch?
clap.
No, I clapped. I am a habitual clapper. I clap, and then the claps have to be edited out.
Oh.
Yeah.
So she edited out like 25 of my claps from our.
So we can't clap if anything's
You
good?
can knee slap once. I think we can allow it.
So if I like something you say, I can't clap?
No, just don't in the middle of your conversation go.
Do that again.
I like that. I like that little leg pickup. I like
Yeehaw! Don't do that. Don't knee
So
slap
how
her.
many times did you watch episodes 1 and 2?
He doesn't watch our episodes. He
Why
told
not?
us he doesn't because it's not his thing. Like
You know what I
he's
do?
one
No.
and done.
No,
he does
wait,
not
now,
obsessively.
Hold on. I will tell you this.
Don't
What?
watch your
I
own
did watch, but it's a... Okay, go a little forward. Go a little
So
bit
you like
forward.
fast? You scrolled.
I do. And if I see something and I look at myself and I'm like, oh my God.
Well, today I was just gonna say you look really cute today. Like I love your hat and your suspenders
Yeah, well,
and your whole
you know,
like watch chain vibe. I think you
like
look
that?
freaking
Like that?
adorable
Yeah, look at
today.
it. See, I'm old fashioned people. See,
Yeah,
look at
look
this.
at the pocket watch.
It's open.
Look at
Look
that.
at that. It tells me what time it is. And
I think it looks great. I think
Well-
you should definitely adopt suspenders as part of your
gotta
like
get
fashion
I gotta
signature.
Get some different ones.
Get some red ones because the
I-
holidays are coming
I
up.
know. I'm.
You could get orange ones too. We did try to like make our studio like
I know,
it's covered
I
up, but I
like
tried
that.
to make it look kind of like Halloweenish.
I like that.
Sort of.
I like. You know what I liked?
What?
I like this.
You like my statue of Athena?
I like this. You know why?
Why?
Because I like power to the women.
All right. Yeah.
I'm
That's
serious.
I love yes.
I love it.
Absolutely. So
I
that's
think-
just one of my like statues that I have. Athena is like she's a goddess of
yeah.
wisdom and war.
Wisdom and war. Yep.
So cool
Is she
person
Greek
to
or
know.
Roman?
Oh, that's a good question. I think well,
Greek.
she's Greek. Yeah, because the Parthenon is
Yes.
the temple to Athena, right?
Yes.
So
was wondering
she
how much
spawned
of
out of
the-
Zeus's forehead in full armor.
I know.
That's her story.
I know.
Like boom.
I just was wondering if you knew.
Just kicking ass and taking names right out of the forehead.
Oh, look at I smacked again. I'm sorry.
You can see why I admire her. So yeah, I think we're gonna keep Athena here. I think we're gonna
I
keep
like
her.
it.
We're gonna keep her even after the Halloween. So anyway, so we were talking about slapping. We were talking about Athena, a little fashion. We're just mixing it up here on the Stir Day. That's why we call it the Stir. But
We have an interview with
yes.
someone, with a person.
with not just someone. The Stir's going legit. Tell them who we have an interview with.
Bob Ellis.
Dr. Bob Ellis,
Doctor.
Okay,
Doctor.
who is
The mayor of Howell.
the mayor of the City of Howell.
Yeah.
Y'all, I cannot even tell you how excited I was when I got Bob Ellis to come on our show. I kind of like, I remember, I think I left you both a message and I was kind of screaming about it because
Yeah.
like that to me, well, first of all, Bob is a very interesting man who has led a very interesting life. I'm not going to go into all of it right now. He graduated high school a year and a half early. Yes.
Really?
Yes. He first job is a newspaper delivery, he delivered newspapers. Probably wore a hat a lot like the one you were wearing.
Well, I think we should just let the interview.
Yes, we'll let him talk. But he has lived a very interesting life. And Bob is running for re-election in the city of Howell. Coming up this November 7th is election day, but you can vote absentee starting, I think, this week. I think the absentee ballots go out this week. So if that's your thing and you like voting absentee, definitely go get your ballot. Yeah. Because these city council races. Oh, we also have somebody, my friend Adam Smitty is running for Howell City Council as well.
Really? Yeah.
Yes. So, and we definitely want to plug Adam Smitty. So, Adam is also, Adam, oh my goodness. He was special forces in the military as well. I want to say Green Beret. Adam, if I'm wrong about that, please forgive me and send me a message and I'll correct it on the air. But it's a medic in the Green Beret.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Adam was on the Livingston County Veterans Committee for a while. Very interesting guy. So you want to be sure to vote for Adam as well. But like I said, we definitely want to support. One of the things we want to do here on the Stir Pod is to give people some information about those who are running for local office, including our very own
Ella.
County commissioner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ella has declared her candidacy, filed her paperwork. She's got a website.
Make sure you follow the Facebook page for that.
Yeah.
You know what's really surprising is if you don't live in the city, a lot of people think the mayor doesn't matter. You know, because I mean, I've never lived in a city.
Like the city of Fowlerville.
Right.
Yeah.
I live outside of Fowlerville. So people think, and I think this is important to talk about, it is important to vote. It is important to vote who becomes mayors of these cities because you visit the city.
Yeah.
So you do have a say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just, the people who live there and that's all that gets a say in what happens. I think a lot of people don't realize that, especially younger people. I think the 18-year-old kids need to know, hey.
Yeah. If you live in the city of Howell, you definitely you can only vote for mayor in the city of Howell. You can only vote in the mayor's race in the city of Howell if you live in the city of Howell. Right. But you want to be telling your friends to go out there and go to the polls and vote for Bob Ellis. Because I'm telling you, Bob Ellis has done a amazing job being mayor. He, he's very passionate about making citywide improvements, and I'm not going to, like Ellis said, I'm not going to go in and put words in his mouth. We'll let the interview speak for itself, but he really is a humble guy. First of all, that's one thing about Bob. In fact, Bob, I knew talking to Bob, like when I first called him, and I asked for an interview. I went through. I know his daughter-in-law, Carly, who runs Culture Beer and Cheese in downtown Brighton. That's his. Carly and David are his. David is Dr. Bob's son, and Carly is his daughter-in-law. Okay. And I know them, and so I had messaged Carly to set the interview up. And when I first talked to Dr. Bob, I knew he's a very soft-spoken man. He's humble, so I had to go in. I also know his wife, Shelly, Bob's wife, Shelly. I said, who better to bring out a person than their spouse, who really knows a person. So I went and I messaged Shelly, who is great. She's a beautiful lady. And I was like, tell me everything there is to know about Bob Ellis, from not just policy. I want to know what he's like as a person. What are his interests? What are his accomplishments? What does he like to do? And she told me everything from that. He loves to make sourdough bread. He likes dad jokes. He wears Hawaiian shirts. And he shows up in our interview in a Hawaiian shirt. That's his thing.
Let's just
yeah. So you'll see Bob in a Hawaiian shirt. He likes Hawaiian shirts. So that's that's what he likes to wear. So we're going to go ahead and do we want to talk about anything else, or do we want to just go? Wait, you want to just go straight to the interview?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We can go straight to the interview. You good with that, Jace?
You know what?
All right. So we're going to go straight into the Bob Ellis interview. Stay tuned. Learn a lot. Welcome, everyone, back to The Stir. Today, we have a very special guest with us. I was so excited when he agreed to be on our show because I feel like this is The Stir hitting the big time. Like, we are legit now. We are here with Mayor of the City of Howell, Bob Ellis, today to join us on the show. Welcome, Bob. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here.
It's so exciting to have you. Now, I want to ask you, to tell us a little bit about yourself, but I got to tell you, there is a whole, I did a little bit of homework, okay? Because that's kind of what I do when I do interviews, and I talk to your wife. I said, your wife, Shelley. Because I know from my own experience that if you really want to learn about a person, you want to talk to their spouse, because they're the ones who know you the best, right? So she gave me a whole bunch of really interesting information about you as a person, but we'll get to it. We're going to get to it in a minute, all about your hobbies and your past. But could you start out just in your own words, telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was in the military for 23 years. Retired from that. Went to Omaha for a few years and studied psychiatry. And then moved to Howell, and that's been about 13 years ago.
13 years ago?
Yeah, I wanted to get involved in the community and started volunteering for different events that came up. Somebody invited me to a Rotary meeting, and that's where I really got networked and connected to everybody. And there were different people on the Rotary that encouraged me to get involved, and I applied for an opening on the city council when somebody resigned. I didn't get appointed because I just recently moved there, and there were other people that were more involved. But Jerry Moen, the mayor at the time, asked me if I wanted to be on the DDA board, and so that was interesting. I did that for 4 years. I was a treasurer. We did a lot of interesting things, and then people started to encourage me to run for city council.
And you were on the council for 6 years, is that right?
Yeah, I was on the council for 6 years, and then the mayor at that time, Nick Proctor, decided he kind of had enough of that and wasn't going to run for another term, so I had the most seniority on the council, except for a couple of people. Steve Maynor wasn't in very good health at that time. He didn't want to. He didn't feel like he could do that. And Jan Lober was the other person that got appointed around the same time that I did. She didn't have the time to do that, so I ran for mayor.
And you ran.
And I did pretty well. I got 70% of the vote.
70%? Oh wow.
And I did have an opponent in that race, but he really didn't do any kind of campaigning at all. Okay. And it was just because he was endorsed by the Republican Party that he probably got the 30% that he did. But he didn't. But you didn't do anything.
Yeah, it sounds like you kind of. Yeah. That was a what do they call that? Clean sweep,
yeah,
a shutout,
something like that. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Well, so I met you. I met you at Pride, and this was just this year. Because I know your daughter-in-law Carly. Okay. I mean, yeah. So Carly is the Culture Beer and Cheese. Her and her husband David, who is one of your 4 children, right?
Right.
He and Carly run Culture Beer and Cheese in Brighton, which is an amazing business, by the way. They have the best cheese, and I've heard legendary grilled cheese sandwiches, although they're every Friday, and I'm always at work, so I can never get one.
They're just the first Friday of the month, I think.
Okay, first Friday of the month. Yeah. So I knew Carly, but I had never, and then I knew your wife, Shelley, but I had never actually had a chance to meet you before, but then I met you this time around at Pride. And when you say you strike me as kind of a humble person, because I know a little bit more about you. You said that you were in the military, that you retired from the Air Force, right?
Correct.
But you retired as a full colonel, isn't that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty incredible. What was that like?
No, I really enjoyed the military. The thing about it was that I got to do different things every few years. I would have a different assignment. So I was, I was a general pediatrician. I was a flight surgeon.
In the military. In the military.
And
okay.
people don't realize that most of the doctors in the military are there to take care of spouses and families, because if the active duty service member has a significant medical problem, they're going to be discharged.
Right.
And so most of the health care provided is for the families. And so pediatrics, obstetrics, psychiatry are like the big specialties. And so I was a pediatrician, and then they sent me to Johns Hopkins to do a fellowship in hematology oncology, and I did hematology oncology for 15 years. I was on the teaching faculty of residency program. Then I got to be the director of a residency program to teach people how to be a pediatrician.
This was at which hospital?
The residency director was at the Naval Hospital in Portsmouth, Virginia.
Okay, and that's kind of where you are originally from, is Virginia, right?
I was born in Virginia until I was about 3 and grew up in Florida.
Okay.
And then after that, I was on like a traveling inspection team for a few years, and I got to go all over the U.S. and Europe inspecting clinics. And then I finally, my last assignment, I was a chairman of a big academic hospital in San Antonio.
Wow.
And and we had every pediatric subspecialty there, and 350 personnel, $50 million annual budget. And,
that's a lot of responsibility. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it was a great capstone to my career in the military.
I bet it was. And your wife also tells me that you graduated a year and a half early from high school?
From high school, yeah. I just came home one day, told my parents, okay, I'm going to graduate next week, and they were surprised. But,
a whole year and a half early?
Yeah. And then I got it accepted to Virginia Tech. I was to study engineering. And the only problem is that they wouldn't allow anybody to live in the dorms until they were at least 17, I think. So I had to take some classes at the local university for a semester before I could be old enough to go up there.
Yeah. You were like Doogie Howser. Remember that old show? So that's really something. Remarkably intelligent. So Howell's very lucky to have you. So just a couple other things she mentioned to me, because I just want, I love local politics, okay? Not politics, but local news. That's really where I kind of, I worked out here as a journalist for 20 years. Yeah. And my favorite part when I worked for the Press and Argus was doing these, the more small town, because this is really, that has the potential to make, to make a difference in people's lives, is that small town, feel to politics. You know what I mean? Not necessarily the big stuff. And you had kind of mentioned, how you did so well in your first campaign, and that one of the things you did, even and you were running as a Democrat, right? And it had been a while.
Well, it's a nonpartisan race, but the city council and the mayor are nonpartisan positions.
Oh, they are? Okay.
And so, I am a Democrat, but in this position, I'm not running representing the Democrats, and I'm really trying to represent everybody. And take care of everybody. But I am a more progressive type person.
Yeah. That's so. One of the things that I was going to ask you about is that, what really was your strategy, for your success the first time around? Was it because I think when we had talked about this initially, you had mentioned how you did go door to door, and you really was talking to people, right?
Right, and And that, that's advice that I got from other people that, especially in the local race, that you have to be out there and talking to people and knocking on doors. And to me, that's one of the most enjoyable things about doing the campaigning is, getting to talk to all kinds of different people and see what their issues are. And it's funny because my opponent this time, he put on his website that he was going to respect people's privacy and wasn't going to be knocking on doors. So I think,
well, how do you know what people want if you don't go up and talk to them? Right?
Yeah, right.
That's a big part of it.
I think, and I think I knocked on like over 800 doors, and roughly 10 or 15% of people are home and answer the door, and almost everybody you talk to, is polite. A few people, they're not too interested, but rarely is there somebody that's hostile. So it's, and a lot of times you can spend 10 or 15 minutes talking about different things, and it's just enjoyable.
What is it that people, what are some of the things that people have said to you that kind of stick out in your minds in terms of what do they expect from their local politician, like their local leadership?
Well, there's a lot of city services that people just generally take for granted. That you expect that your water's going to be safe to drink, and that when you flush the toilet, that it's going to go somewhere. Mm-hmm. And when these things don't work, then you realize how important they are. So, like, we've had big rain events where the capacity of the sewer system was overloaded and sewage went up and came up in people's backyards.
Oh my goodness. That is a game changer for sure.
We're our water's always been safe, and we do testing on it periodically and send out the results to people. Mm-hmm. But we are looking at removing any lead service lines that are connected to the water system, mm-hmm. and that's an ongoing process. People are concerned about, resurfacing the neighborhood streets. Mm-hmm. More than half the streets are in poor condition, and we just don't have the funding to address that adequately. With the major connecting streets, we can get revenues from gasoline taxes, and grants are available for fixing connecting streets. But for the local neighborhood streets, it all has to come out of our general budget. And we have a limited amount of taxes that we can obtain. Mm-hmm. With the Headley Amendment, we've had a kind of a decline in revenues, especially when the housing prices dropped in 2008. The taxes dropped dramatically.
Like state shared revenues declined too, because the state used to give more money. Under the Republican legislature, they cut state shared revenue. So that used to be, this is back when Republicans had a majority in the state legislature. Now the Democrats do, but a lot of people don't know this, but states used to share revenue with local municipalities, but the Republicans in the legislature cut that back. Right. So the local governments were getting less of a slice of the pie. So they had to do more with less.
Right. Well, and there's two different sources of funds that are in that group. There's what's called constitutional revenue sharing, which is kind of guaranteed by the Constitution, and that hasn't changed. And then there's something that's statutory revenue sharing that the legislature passes bills every year. Mm-hmm. And if the impact is that if the cities would have gotten what the state statutes say they're supposed to be getting, Detroit wouldn't have gone bankrupt. It's a major drop in income there.
Well, hopefully, maybe they could get that funding restored a little bit under the current legislature.
Yeah, there is a significant increase this year in the money we're going to get from revenue sharing, and it's somewhere in the order of a 10 or 15% increase. from what I remember.
I feel like there's always kind of a pull in this community with that because people don't want to pay high taxes.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. We're all living on restricted budgets, but at the same time, you have to balance that too with the needs that you have you have to have safe sidewalks, and you have to people. One of the reasons I think why people love Howell, I know my husband, he grew up in Wayne, and then he moved out here after he got out of the Navy, and I remember when him and I were driving around, we were on a date night one night, and he's like, I just love this Howell. It's so clean. It's so, you have flowers everywhere. You walk down Main Street, everything's so well kept up, and he really, he commented on like people want a community that looks nice and that functions,
It's just a pleasant place to walk through.
Yeah, it makes you feel good, but you do have to, invest. So let me read to you here. This is a quote that you said. This was
Okay.
when you were elected for the first time in 2021.
Okay.
This is what you told the Livingston Daily. Okay, so I'm just going to ask you about this. You said, "I want to continue managing the city as we have. I'm committed to continuing our city services, keeping our expenses in line with our revenues, and avoiding tax increases." So that kind of goes into line with what we were just kind of talking about. So do you feel like you've been successful in that? Like, do you feel pretty good about your record on that, or do you want to speak to that at all?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've actually, in the last couple of years, we've kind of done amazing things. And a lot of it is due to the unprecedented amount of grants and things that are available related to COVID and the Inflation Reduction Act and the Infrastructure Act. In the last 2 years, we've received about $14 million in grants. We just got another $2 million grant.
Are these state grants or federal grants?
They're like the most recent ones, the $2 million, it was a community development block grant. So it's basically federal funds that come to the state, and then the state allocates them through the Economic Development Corporation. The ultimate source of most of the funds is probably the federal government. And even like the state got huge amounts of money from the COVID relief funds. And a lot of that money is also coming. For instance, we've applied for another $2 million grant for the Schofield Park, and we have all kinds of improvements planned for that, and we're hoping to get that as well.
Is that part of the mayor's job, is to kind of keep track of the grants that are available and chase that down when it's ready, when it's able to be dispersed?
I think that the mayor is you can think of the mayor kind of like the chairman of the board, and you kind of set policy, and you chair the council. So the council and the mayor together kind of establish the policies and what our goals are. And then it's the city manager that really is like the CEO that manages things on a day-to-day basis. So when we learn about potential grants, then we make sure that the city manager knows that we're interested in this, that we think it might be something that we'd be eligible for, and then either he works on it or has other people in the staff or consultants try to submit the applications.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not directly filling out grant applications.
No, but you work closely with the city manager, to bring about those grants when they're available.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, certainly.
Yeah. So, what kind of importance do you think should be placed on like public transportation?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because as far as the city goes, the only real public transportation we have is the Livingston Central Transportation Service.
Yeah, and that's a county.
And that's a county thing. There's a master plan with the county for how they're going to develop it, and we've participated in some of those meetings where they develop their plan. But the City of Howell itself is only a few square miles. You know, if you draw a circle about 1.5 miles around radius around Michigan Avenue and Grand River, that's pretty much the city. So it's, you know, it really setting up our own transit system, you know, isn't really feasible. You know, we pride ourselves on being a walkable city.
Yeah,
and so,
sure.
you know, you can almost walk through the whole city.
Right.
And we're trying to do some things with bicycle routes and things like that. But as far as bus lines and things, then I think that's more of a county
But yeah, like,
issue.
you know, even
yeah.
so, like, you know, trying to walk from, say, downtown Howell to, like, maybe one of the industrial parks is quite a bit of a trek.
Yeah. Well, and there's a pedestrian bridge that's kind of by Isbell or Jewett Street that goes across the railroad tracks that's in poor repair.
Wooden bridge?
Yeah. And that's
used to be able to drive across that
we've been trying to find some ways to fix that up, but it's essentially the bridge is owned by CSX and
the train company.
The train company.
Okay.
And you know, they we're looking for grants to try to see if there's anything we can do in cooperation with CSX, but you know, eventually it's going to end up having to be torn down if they don't maintain it.
I'm old enough to remember when we used to drive across that thing, and I would say a little prayer for my life every single time. Cross over that because it was like all rickety and whatnot. But that, I mean, that's Ella is that's straight in her wheelhouse, is public transportation, getting around, you know, sidewalks, moving, like. She's gonna try to make that, I think, a cornerstone of your campaign, right?
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things you really want to focus on for county commission.
Yeah. That's
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, even if we could get Uber or Lyft or something, but there's just not enough demand to.
The problem with Uber and Lyft is that it's like it has a very exploitative model.
Yeah.
You know, they're really trying to milk the drivers for all the labor they can get for as little cost as they can.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, with Let's, you know, the drivers are being paid well.
Yeah.
The riders don't have to pay very much money to ride it because it's subsidized by the state and federal grants.
Right. Yeah, I think it's $2 a ride, and the people that use it regularly are usually pretty satisfied with it. But for you know, people that use it occasionally, they're kind of daunted by the process, and you have to schedule it a day ahead. And,
that's why I think it's like a good idea to have like fixed routes, like the Grand River Avenue route, because that doesn't require very much, you know, booking at all. You know, you just show up, get on the bus, and then you get off somewhere else. So.
Yeah, and that's in the transportation plan, and even there's even some ideas of where we could have like a bus station or a area where people could drop off and wait and everything.
So you're receptive to those ideas.
We're definitely receptive to that. Well, because you know, the issue is that. It's hard to find employees in Howell. There's a lot of open jobs, and you know, so there's not public transportation to get there. There is a bus service that takes people from Flint to some of our factory type jobs.
Yeah, but that's like out in the industrial parks.
Right.
That's not. That's like at least a 30-minute walk from downtown. Howell.
Right. And there's, you know, but I think. I lost my train of thought. Sorry. So it's you know, having a regular bus service would make it good for the employers downtown too. You know, to get, you know, because a lot of people can't afford to live in the city and work there.
That's a problem in a lot of places. You know, especially like you can't. This is like we had talked about this before. You and I was driving you back home, I think it was, and I said that this Livingston County was a bedroom community.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, what is that? But it's like, it's people who have to travel to jobs, to higher paying jobs outside the county.
Yeah,
so that they can, live here.
I don't remember the exact statistics, but it's something like 80% of people that live in the city travel outside the city to work. And it's the same way that of the people who work in the city, 80% of them come from outside the city.
Well, I want to ask you about one other thing that I forgot to ask you about earlier, because I had so many things. Shelley told me so many things. Did we ever share any pictures of Bob? I did want to share just a couple of pictures before we wrap up.
Yes, I can do that.
So Ella's going to bring up, we just had a couple, she shared a couple pictures with me. And this is your family, right?
Yeah,
this is. I'm going to get to my question in a minute, but I just wanted to show you. So you have quite a beautiful family.
Yeah.
There's your wife Shelley, and Carly is over there on the left. It will be our left, and these are that's your grandson Milo,
yeah.
right? And then is Joey?
Joey's my dog.
Oh, Joey's
one of two. Joey, Lucky.
So Milo is your only grandson?
Well, no. Just to the right of me is my son, who's I'm Robert III. He's Robert IV. We call him Will by his middle name, and then the other grandchild there is Robert V. That's called Bobby.
Okay,
so
that's a lovely family, a lovely brood.
And his wife,
got there.
his wife Alicia, and my daughter Charlotte.
And then this is Milo. And now Shelley tells me that you like to bake bread, especially sourdough.
Yeah, that's my
so that's
whole grain sourdough breads.
Well, this is a beautiful synchronicity because Carly's got the cheese shop, and you've got this. You probably have the best sandwiches as a family. I got to come over for dinner or something. That's really that's adorable. Milo is so cute. Yeah. Look at him; he's adorable. Yeah. So I wanted to show a couple of those so that people know. And there's you and your wife. That's Shelley.
Yeah.
So I had mentioned earlier that I met you at Pride. I was going somewhere with that chain of thought, but then I got into something else. You mentioned there to me that you had been involved in some way in Don't Ask, Don't Tell's repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Can you tell me, we didn't get to talk about it very much because there was so much going on, but can you tell me a little bit more about what was your involvement with Don't Ask, Don't Tell when you were in the military?
Well, as a military officer, you're pretty much precluded from any political activity except for voting. You're not allowed to do any kind of campaigning or things like that. Mm-hmm. But especially in the healthcare community, I worked with a lot of gay, lesbian people, nurses, doctors, technicians that had to keep their private life very secret. And they couldn't really be who they were. Mm-hmm. They had to put on this other persona when they were at work. And it was, it's kind of demoralizing to them. They're serving their country, but, they're not being respected as people. And then, and sympathetic people would kind of realize this and they'd have somebody to talk to, but it was a hazard because if it was revealed, then you could be kicked out of the military and end your career. So then there was this movement to eliminate that policy. At first, there was a policy of just no homosexuals allowed in the military at all.
And that was the way it was for years and years, right?
And then I think it might have been Bill Clinton that put the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy and said, okay, well, you can be in the military as long as nobody knows about it.
Right. And this was kind of I think in the 1990s, mid-90s.
And so then everything was kind of underground.
Yeah.
And so once I got out of the military, I was aware of this organization called Human Rights Campaign that was lobbying to try to overturn that policy and allow people to serve openly. So once I retired, I got involved with them, and they were really looking for senior officers that were, generals or colonels that were retired to go to Washington and lobby and talk about why this policy is bad and why it needs to be overturned, because it had to be overturned by Congress and the DOD. So I got to go talk to congressmen and senators and went to the White House. I didn't actually get to see the president. I got to see some of their staffers and just talked about what I had observed about people serving in the military and what contributions they were making and how they had to keep their private life so secretive, and how this is a problem for those people, but it's also a concern for it makes them a target for blackmail and extortion, and foreign governments could extort people for information.
Sure. And then it becomes a national security issue.
Yeah, right.
And not to mention, there's also, as a psychiatrist,
right, you
probably witnessed the personal strain that it takes on hiding your whole entire being.
Right. Yeah. And, there's this whole concept of what's called minority stress syndrome. If you're in a kind of a marginalized group, they have a lot higher incidence of anxiety disorders, depression, and other things, higher suicide rates. And it's all related to, being marginalized in society and causing stress.
And is that one of the reasons why you are so much a forward-facing supporter of the LGBTQ community? I mean, I didn't see your opponent at Pride. We'll put it that way. I mean, he's an okay guy. He bought me carrot cake one time, long time ago.
Right.
But I mean, he's all right. But I've never seen him at a Pride festival. So
no, and I've been to every one. And the other thing I'm really proud of that I did when I was on council is I introduced the non-discrimination ordinance that we had in the city, and that was a number of years before they expanded the Elliott-Larsen Civil Rights Act on the state level to include sexual minorities and gender.
So this would apply to that policy applied to LGBT.
Yeah, it's basically that you couldn't discriminate against people on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity in housing accommodations and housing, public accommodations, or employment.
And this was for the City of Howell. Oh, that's wonderful.
And so, if we had a city contract, the contractor had to sign something saying they agreed to abide by that. And and so it was, that was a big accomplishment. Sure. And a few years later, they did it on the state level. But one of the fun things I get to do as mayor is I get to marry people, and so the last two mayors didn't perform any wedding ceremonies, and I kind of brought that back, and I've been able to perform 25 ceremonies, and several of them were same-sex couples. One was a couple where one groom was from Honduras, and the other one was from Mexico. And I was able to do the whole ceremony in Spanish with FaceTime to their relatives back in their home countries. And that was really
Shelley
cool.
tells me you learned Spanish from watching telenovelas.
Yeah, telenovelas. That's another kind of my big vice is watching Spanish telenovelas.
Did you just say telenovas?
Telenovelas.
Telenovelas.
Telenovelas. I haven't spelled wrong.
What's telenovelas?
Yeah. They're essentially like soap operas.
Tell us what. Do the pronunciation for me again.
Telenovelas. So so they're kind of like a soap opera where they have for instance they may have 180 episodes that are an hour long, and so you can they broadcast it for like 6 to 8 months. And then and you can on Netflix you can watch a lot of them that have subtitles.
Okay.
And so and they're very interesting because the acting is really dramatic, and there's all kinds of interesting things going on. And when you first start watching them, you can watch the English subtitles, and then after a while, as you get to learn more Spanish, you switch to the Spanish subtitles.
Oh.
And then after a while from there, you can just watch it. And you don't need the
You probably,
subtitles
I'm
anymore.
sure you caught, you must have caught right on. You're the guy who graduated from high school like a year and a half early. It probably came to you like that.
Well, it's funny because when I was in high school, and I grew up in Miami, and like all these people spoke Spanish, I wasn't at all interested in learning Spanish. And you couldn't really find a job anywhere in Miami if you couldn't speak Spanish. So, like, I delivered newspapers.
Oh, that was your first job, delivering newspapers. I was like, all right. It's honest work.
But then when I finally got stationed in San Antonio, when I was in the military, then I said, well, this is my opportunity to make up for not learning Spanish when I had that chance as a kid.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up here pretty soon. But I'm gonna put you on the spot for two things. Okay. Number one, probably the most important question in this interview, and I should have put it in the beginning. Okay, what's the scoop on the old Carson's building? What would you put there if you had the final? And what would you put there if you had the final say? Everyone's talking about it. They said it was going to be a Hobby Lobby. Then it was going to be something else. I'm rooting for Trader Joe's. Can you make that happen? For me and Bob Ellis?
Yeah, well, one thing is it's outside the city limits, so I don't have any jurisdiction there. But I think everybody wants a Trader Joe's to come here, but they're very scientific. They base where they locate their stores on specific demographics, and they locate specific places based on a lot of research. So they don't come here just on the basis of trying to encourage them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that would be great.
Supposedly the developer has some big super secret plans that he's not
and I heard
revealing.
something about how they're going to resurface their parking lot, make some improvements there, and maybe get some.
Well, that'd be good because it's like basically a sinkhole in there right now.
Yes.
When you, I don't even drive through there. I'm worried I'm going to get a flat tire. So hopefully they'll make it into something cool.
Yeah.
And then the last question I have for you: I hear that you are a serious teller of dad jokes.
Oh.
So, do you have a dad joke to share with us before we let you go?
All right.
Make us laugh.
All right. What's the difference between broccoli and boogers?
What is the difference between broccoli and boogers?
Some kids just won't eat broccoli.
Oh, jeez. All right. Bob, it has been a pleasure interviewing with you. You have lived such an interesting life, and I am so excited for you to win yet again this race for Howell City Council. So just a reminder to everyone who's listening or watching.
You mean the race for mayor, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. What did I say?
You said city council.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Mayor. I apologize for that.
That's all right.
For mayor, election day is November 7th.
This year.
Yeah.
Yes, this year.
This year.
Yes, coming up, 2023.
Because that's when mayor races are.
Yes, coming up in a few weeks. So, and you can get your absentee ballots now.
Right.
If you choose to vote absentee, you can turn those absentee ballots in any day, including on election day, if you're running late. But these are the kind of races, folks. These local races are decided sometimes on a handful of votes. And Bob has done a really good job for us in terms of, I can't vote for him because I don't actually live in the city, but for the City of Howell. So if you do live in the City of Howell, tell your friends. And also make sure to give yourself a reminder to vote on November 7th or absentee for Bob Ellis. Thank you so much again, Bob. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and tell Shelley hi and thank you for filling in all the blanks for me. Welcome back, everyone, to The Stir. We're finishing up here, you guys. It's been a great episode. And
Good vibes.
Wait. I just want to say, just remember, everyone, before we do good vibes, Election Day, November 7th. So if you live in the city of Howell, remember, these votes are decided on very thin margins, sometimes a handful of people. So you want to definitely be sure to get out there and vote on November 7th. There's a millage for Howell Public Schools on the ballot as well. If you're in Howell, if you're in the Howell Public School District, you want to get out there, support your local millage. And then also, if you live in the city of Howell, just remember, go out there, vote for Bob on November 7th, or make sure you fill out your absentee ballot if that's how you vote. So I just want to say that.
Yeah.
For sure. So, but now it's time. Now it's time. The pillow has been thrown. The pillow's been thrown. It's time for good vibes. All right. Good vibes. Everyone, this is a friend of mine. This is Danielle, her from Brighton. We want to thank Danielle so much for that adorable face.
I like
so
that
cute.
little face.
That's Jibby. Okay, so... And I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, Danielle. Apologize.
Jibby. I like it.
It's Jibby. So Danielle is writing to us. I'm just going to read you the letter that she wrote us. She works for an organization called Bottle Babies Rescue. Okay, so let's listen to what Danielle has to say, because this is going to make you feel good. So. Back in July of 2020, she writes, I was laid off from a job I absolutely loved as part of the organization's COVID economic recovery plan. When fall came around, my kids went back to school in person 4 days a week, and I needed something to fill the void that I was feeling. A friend shared a plea from Bottle Babies Rescue asking for more fosters, and I decided to apply. So this is the very first dog that she fostered. And then I decided to, 3 years ago this month, we welcomed our first foster. Over the 3 years, we've fostered everything from a single puppy to a litter of 10 puppies. She has cute, adorable litters of puppies. Her Facebook and her TikTok are my favorite things because they're just constant puppy pics and they're adorable. So so she says, over the 3 years, we've fostered everything from a single puppy to a litter of 10 puppies to a mostly blind senior dog who can only see shadows. Oh. We have also fostered several fosters who needed medical care beyond the basic vetting with various medical conditions, such as hydrocephalus, severe allergies causing skin issues, and a bulldog with tick paralysis. So these are dogs that are in need for sure. So we fostered a senior dogs who finally get a chance to live the life they deserve. Pearl came to us from Kentucky during the floods last year and had a limp. With rest and meds, it eventually subsided, but when we took her to the vet, we learned she had old fractures that didn't heal right and were full of old bird shot. So, she's really in there, taking care of these dogs that have really special needs. And most recently, we had welcomed a Boston Terrier puppy named Jibby. That was Jibby that we saw with her earlier.
Put Jibby up.
Put Jibby back up there. So
Jibby's the Boston.
No, and there's another picture. That's Jibby right there.
Jibby. Look at,
and you can see pictures. You can look up Danielle's TikTok. It's called Danielle and the Dogs. And there's adorable videos of Jibby. But Jibby has a heart defect. And it's going to require some surgery in the next couple months. And without the surgery, she wouldn't live more than a year. However, she is expected to live a long, healthy life after surgical repair. The goal is for her to grow strong and healthy while she waits to have surgery. So they're going to have a fundraiser for Jibby. And I told Danielle, I said, when the fundraiser comes up, let us know. We will publicize it and we'll all give some money to help this sweet little baby get her heart surgery so she can live a happy, long life.
Oh, yeah.
So she says, we've had 2 litters of puppies born in our home and they stayed with us until they found their forever homes. Their births were a family affair with our kids helping during the birthing process and their care over the following week. And they also go down to South Texas twice a month and they bring back dogs from poorer regions in Texas. That's how we got Obi, our dog Obi. Obi was from West Virginia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was from a dog that she had 3 puppies. They all got adopted and she got adopted. But, a lot of times there's a lot of poverty in those neighborhoods. They don't spay and neuter their pets. And the dogs just kind of like roam free. So that's one of the things that Danielle does. She goes to Texas. And Texas euthanizes an extraordinarily high number of dogs, more than like the next 25 states combined. So they're trying to save these dogs also from euthanization, which is such a great thing to do. And we're so grateful for that. So at any rate, keep on doing the work that you're doing, Danielle. You're a hero. We are so happy that you shared your story with us. We're going to put up a website. Ella, can you put up the website? There's for adoptable dogs. This is the list Danielle provided to us of pets from bottle babies that are available for either adoption or foster. I'm not sure either one, but visit this link and learn more about bottle babies. And, we'll post this also. Yeah, we'll post this also on our YouTube description. Oh, this is the foster application link. Sorry, I was trying to find that in the letter. So if you want to be a foster, if you want to foster babies, not adoption, but foster, you want to go to this link up here. And we'll post this in the video description as well. And I know Danielle, she will get you all set up if you're looking to foster. It's
Danielle,
a very
you're
great
an
thing
angel,
to do.
my friend.
You are an angel. Look at these babies. And now here's our socials for us. You can follow us on TikTok at The Stir Pod and Instagram at The Stir Pod. And if you like listening to your shows on audio instead of streaming on YouTube, like on the go, that's the website. You can download from there to Apple Podcasts, Spotify. There's a whole list of platforms you can follow us on. So so please go ahead and do that. And that's going to be a wrap.
All right.
Thank you so much, Jace. Good vibes. It's so great. We're so glad that you're back with us and you're feeling better.
So am I.
And tune in next 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now, we have John King, local legend, on our podcast to talk about.
I'm still not sure about that.
Oh my God.
Wait.
No, wait. My Siri went off. All right. With that, tune in. All right. We'll see y'all later. Peace out.